Welcome back to DXB today. Now, a staple of the UAE right now has to be Expo City. We all remember Expo 2020, 6 months of absolute joy and a little bit of mayhem, but luckily it was inclusive for everybody. And part of the team that made that happen was DASS Solutions. And from them, please welcome inclusivity, accessibility expert, Mr. Elie Ghoussoub. Thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, it was a huge city, Expo City, a huge project. It took many years to build. How many different aspects did you have to consider when it came to making it accessible?
Absolutely. So DASS Solutions, DASS stands for Design, Access, Safety and Sustainability. We had a 5-person team at the Expo for about 9 months. And we looked at aspects around built environment, so buildings and facilities, digital accessibility for the websites and the applications, the different digital platforms that were being used. And we also looked at things, the soft side of accessibility, governance, customer service, escalations, and so on and so forth. A lot of training to a lot of people who were working very hard to make sure that the millions of people who turned up at the Expo had a nice and fantastic visit over there. So really a very large scope is what it takes to make something of that magnitude and that scale be really truly inclusive for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, even the buggies, the dedicated buggies, I mean, I'm sure that made a huge difference.
Absolutely, and there were a lot of different items that were considered. For example, the Expo City Dubai, obviously, you know, the Expo 2020 at the time, is one of the very few places around the Middle East where you will find, for example, an adult changing table. For somebody who needs, who's, you know, paraplegic or who needs that specific item. A lot of hearing enhancement systems were installed for people with cochlear implants and hearing aid users at the Expo. There were, for example, accessibility bags which were given out, sensory bags to support people who had sensory difficulties that included, you know, like earmuffs, glasses, and so on and so forth. And a lot of things, you know, if we work to make sure that the surfaces you're walking on are not slippery, for example, so that if somebody has a hearing impairment in the middle ear, their balance sometimes isn't always as stable as we would want, that they have an easier time walking around the space. So that's not very glitzy. You probably won't even notice it, but it actually makes life easier for everybody else because nobody wants to trip. Just because I have more of a chance to trip doesn't mean that other people don't trip.
So. I'm just amazed right now to hear all of these things that happen behind the scenes. So we never considered about, we were at Expo almost every single day.
Yeah.
And all the extra effort that you put in for people of all abilities, it's kudos to you guys, really, really great. Now, since you mentioned earlier on about digital accessibility, could you tell us a little bit about JustNav?
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I was saying, and Jessica and I were talking maybe also off stage, we specialize in built environment and digital environments. So we thought, okay, we need to find something that really bridges these two things together. So JustNav is a smart wayfinding solution that really helps bridge this gap. As individuals, we go out to the public realm. We go out, you know, to parks, we go to malls, we go to buildings. How often have we found ourselves lost asking for directions? So that's the main thing that we're trying to address here. You walk into a mall, you speak to security officers all the time. Where is this brand? Where is that shop? JustNav is what we call a turn-by-turn navigation system. So it'll tell you, okay, you search for a location, it'll tell you walk 10 paces, go left, go use the elevator, and then you've arrived at your destination.
That is perfect.
So that is usable for everyone. Yes. Everyone can benefit from that. So what we did is we used an existing platform that has thousands of users already, and we revamped the whole thing to include accessibility. The algorithms brought down accuracy to 1.5 meters, added a lot of features for people with vision impairments, hearing impairments. I gave Jessica an example earlier about it's deployed in a couple of locations in Dubai already.
I was just going to ask, is it available now? Is it something that people can download and use immediately?
So it's getting started. So this is something that we are really encouraging individuals to use because the benefits for the population for users are quite obvious, right? But as a facility owner who runs a mall, who runs a school or a park or something, you want to make sure people have an easier time in your facilities. So that's something that is also very usable. It allows you to track where people have went, where they've gotten challenged, and so on and so forth. And also from a governance point of view, if you are a policymaker, This helps you address your needs for smart cities because it's a smart application. It also helps you address your wish to make sure the community is happy, which is a very maybe amorphous goal, but a very important goal for the UAE. Happiness, customer happiness, people happiness. How can we get people to be happy when they go out of their house so that they do it again? By removing challenges, and this removes challenges.
And Elie, do you think that this sort of technology and the perspective of society can be changed because there's so many innovations and creations that have been designed and implemented that the wider society benefit from, that were actually initially created to restore the dignity and self-confidence of people living with disability? For example, the electric toothbrush and SMS and texting, audiobooks, things like this, that I think most people don't realise, that we actually benefit from disability. So to be able to have the foresight to design and create through the lens of disability, the lens of people with determination, I think that then, like you said, it benefits everybody.
Absolutely.
And I think if more people were aware of just how important that was, and rather than always looking back in retrospect, how can we change this, how can we fix something, if we were to include more people of determination from the beginning, then we're able to create so many innovative and technological devices that help all of us.
Absolutely. So actually, it's a very good point that you brought this up, Jessica. When we were doing our focus groups with people with disabilities to help design the user interface for the app, one thing that came up is that, for example, people who are using prosthetic arms might need to move certain aspects of the UI left and right so that they have easier time accessing it. So if you're using the application, you're trying to reach for a certain button, you can't because it's on the far side of the screen. In our application, you'll be able to move the entire UI left or right to help address your needs. Now, who does that help? That also helps people who are left-handed, for example. Nobody who's left-handed would say, I'm somebody with a disability, right? They're not. Officially, they're not somebody with disability. So a feature which was introduced to support people with disabilities ends up making people's lives easier who don't have a disability. And that goes such, like, for example, there are many other examples that we can mention that really highlight how accessibility and inclusive design make things better for everyone.
Elie, this is so exciting. I'm sure it's an exciting conversation for anyone from any ability. However, we are running out of time. But thank you so much. This has been a very interesting conversation, and we appreciate all your work, especially at Expo City.
Thank you very much.
Now, today's spotlight is on IT and data experts providing high-end tech solutions and exceptional services for corporate and business verticals in the region. This is Rajkumar Bhatia from Point Solutions.
My name is Raj Bhatia from Point Solutions. Again, as a company, we basically strictly are into IT services where we make sure that the IT and the data is treated like a treasure for the companies. The common problem and the gap that we always try and address with the company decision makers is that they make sure that the IT stands for information technology and not income tax. Well, the major milestones that we have actually created a niche for ourselves within the healthcare sector, advertising, and the media industry, because these industries have got boatloads of data and we help them out constantly on a daily basis to manage that particular data. So in case of disasters, the data is available 24/7. Well, challenges have been in running the business is always that being in technology, you need to get updated so frequently so that not just our clients, but at any given point of time, our staff, the engineers are trained out well at any given point of time so that they are able to go ahead and provide the right solutions to the clients. We want to make sure that technology-wise, we are right in the forefront. So when it comes to the long-term goal, we want to make sure that the IT is fully functional for all the businesses and the support contracts that we are having. And as they say that data is the next oil. So all that you need to do is to make sure that you keep enough amount of backups of your data. So in case of disasters, you do not have to panic around. Two specific projects. One is the underwater train and second is the Dubai Trade Tower.
Time for a quick break. Coming up, we are in discussion with the CEO of UAE's first ever inclusive employment platform. Plus, Adam has been rehearsing in studio. We have a very exciting performance in store for you, so don't go anywhere.